What's up everyone, Brian here with Ride Your Money Wave. I came across a video yesterday of Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank, talking about how much money you should have by the age of 33. And it parallels very closely an experience that I had with money. So today what I want to do is take a look, see what Mr. Wonderful has to say about how much money you should have at the age of 33, tell you how my misunderstanding worked out to my benefit, and then encourage you to set your own goal for the future. So let's take a look. Let's see what Mr. Wonderful has to say, and we'll go from there.
You know, it's really tough to peg numbers and nail them to the cent. But here's one for you to think about. By the time you hit 33 years old, you should have $100,000 saved somewhere. Make that your goal. 33, 100,000. You can do it. I'll tell you how. You save 20% of your paycheck, and you let the market grow at 5 to 7% a year. You can get to $100,000. Everybody says, oh, that's impossible. I can't do that. Yes, you can.
All right, so a couple things. First of all, I love Mr. Wonderful, and I love Shark Tank. I love that he has no problem. Maybe it's a gimmick, but I really don't think so. That he is just shrewd. You know, he loves money, and he lets that be known. His deals are oftentimes the least picked because sometimes they don't work out for the person that's pitching the show. But overall, I like that he is aggressive when it comes to his deals on Shark Tank. And what I like about this too is that he's setting a goal that puts most people on their heels. $100,000 by the age of 33. That's a lot of money. And like we said earlier in previous episodes of this show, that you want to set a goal that gives you pause. You want to set a goal that makes you almost scared of that number. Because doing so, this is the big thing, doing so is going to redirect the way that you think. It's going to redirect how you spend your time. You're going to have to change your habits. You're going to have to basically reinvent yourself and what your priorities are if you want to accomplish this goal of $100,000 by the age of 33. That's the thing that really I don't think anyone talks about. When it comes to saving and when it comes to setting goals and investing as a priority, it's very simple to do. Becoming wealthy is very simple mathematically, but it's not easy because behind the simplicity of the numbers is the difficult aspect of you changing who you are, how you think about money, how you spend your time, what your habits are, what you're reading, what is influencing you. That is the difficult part. So, Mr. O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, I would agree. $100,000, I'm on board so far. It's doable. I'll tell you my own story in just a second here.
If you don't have it by 33, I'll give you the 35. I'll give you 24 extra months. That's why they call me Mr. Wonderful. Why 33? 33 is the tipping point. It's the point in your life when you really have to focus on saving money.
All right, let's pause there for a second for two reasons. Maybe not on this shot.
If you haven't saved anything by the time you're 33, you're way behind.
All right, that's a better thing to end on. Okay, so there was 2 points that came to mind. One is that he said, you know, by 33, you kind of have to have your act together. And I explain money and the opportunity of saving in your youth, kind of like a ship leaving the harbor. You have 3 different types of people. You have the people that get on the ship, put on their life jacket, sit down, and are waiting for the ship to depart. Those are the people like yourself, hopefully, that are saving at a young age. They're starting to ask questions about money at the age of 15, 16, 18 years old. They're opening up a Roth IRA. They're saving throughout college. They're not going on college spring break so they can put $1,500 towards their Roth IRA. They're working 2 jobs, 3 jobs, right? They are the ones who are saying, hey, I want a nice long journey and I want to enjoy the views. The second type of person is the ship has already left the dock, but it is in the harbor. They spent too much time lollygalleying, enjoying the views, shopping while, at port, that now they've missed the ship. They're going to have to do some work. They are going to have to get wet. They're going to have to jump in the water and start paddling in order to catch that ship if they want to get on. And that ship, by the way, is the possibility of retirement, right? So if you don't have some momentum built up, if you don't have something invested by the age of 33, and Mr. Wonderful is saying $100,000, he says, look, I'll even give you to the age of 35. 35 years old, I would hope that you can have $100,000 saved and invested. That second person is, they're going to have to save, they're going to have to do more work. They're going to have to get wet. They are going to have to do more of the heavy lifting. They're going to have to take more of the sacrifice. Frankly, you are going to have to save more for a longer period of time because you missed the boat. You can still get on the boat. It's just going to take a little bit extra work. And once you're on the boat and the boat's doing the work, congratulations, right? Now you can dry off and enjoy your retirement. But there's a third person. There's a third person that the boat has left the harbor. There is absolutely no chance of them getting on the boat of retirement. And that's the person who waits too long to start saving. And that is an incredibly sad situation. That's an incredibly sad scenario because I really think that it doesn't have to be that way. Think about the commercials that we see for these different brokerage firms. It's always, gray-haired people wearing full linen suits, right? Linen shirt, linen pants, flip-flops, walking the beaches somewhere of crystal blue water and a little wind behind them, and they look out in the distance and they're pondering how wonderful life is and how proud they are of the decisions they made. And then their wife squeezes their arm and they're reminded that the best thing is right next to them, right? And, that's their retirement. That's the image that is being sold to us for retirement. But the person who the boat has already left the harbor, that's not their image. That's not their reality. Their reality is they're working until they're 70, 75, 80 years old. They have no choice but to work. And it's quite sad. I don't think anyone wants that to be their reality unless they love what they do. Unless, to quote Warren Buffett, they're tap dancing to work. There are three people. The person that gets on the boat early, hooks up their life jacket, they are prepared, they're listening to the captain, they're ready for their journey. There's the person who has to swim after the boat. They're going to have to get wet, they're going to have to do a lot more work, but at least they have a chance at retirement. And then there's the person who simply, the boat has left the harbor and they're stuck on dock. What Mr. Wonderful is telling you is, hey, listen, be that first person. You need $100,000 by the age of 33, saved and invested, so that you can create your own retirement. He says, I'll even give you to the age of 35. And depending on where you live and what type of retirement you want, I would agree with those numbers. Let's see what else Mr. Wonderful has to say.
Behind the eight ball. Your goal should be to try and amass at least $500,000. So you start to chop up the decades you're going to work. By 33, you better have 100K if you're going to get the other 400 by the time you're 60.
All right. $500,000 at the age of 60 sounds like a lot of money. But when you start taking a look at the cost of assisted living, when you take a look at the cost of nursing homes, when you take a look at the cost of medical care, and when you factor in inflation, $500,000 is not going to last you very long. I hate to break it to you, but I think Mr. Wonderful is dramatically under, and he's an older guy, so $500,000 at his age, no offense, Mr. Wonderful, is worth more money. But for people like me and you, I'm 38, 500 grand isn't going to last as long. The last statistic that I saw said that in retirement, you're going to spend about $250,000 just on healthcare. So that's today's money. Half of your 500 grand would go just to healthcare. So if that's wiped out, now you have 250 grand to live on. Even if your house is paid off, 4%, it's, plus Social Security, you're making what? 30 grand a year tops? To me, I think we want a little bit more wiggle room in our retirement. We want to be walking those Florida beaches wearing our, linen one pieces, right?
Think about that.
All right, so Kevin O'Leary says that we should have $100,000 by the age of 33. Let me tell you a quick story on a goal that my brother set for me and why it's always helpful to begin with the end in mind. So my brother is an incredibly smart person, very mathematically inclined, loves dealing with statistics and models, and he's older than me by 2.5 years. And in my youth, he said, hey, listen, you need $100,000 net worth by the age of 30 if you want to become a millionaire. That's like the number. And so in my mind, I kept saying, okay, 100,000 age 30, 100,000 age 30, 100,000 age 30. I started to look at my runway. At this time, I was like 23 years old. And I said, okay, how much will I have to save in order to have 100,000 by the age of 30? What life choices, what life options do I still have control of so that I can hit this goal? And I realized, okay, well, I'm a teacher, so I know that if I go back to school and I get a master's degree, that will increase my earnings for the rest of my career. Okay, let me go do that. And luckily I did that being debt-free. Then I started to say, okay, that's not enough because it's slowly increasing my pay by like $4 grand a year. So at the age of 23, 7 more years and $4 grand, that's only $28,000. Where am I going to come up with this other 72 grand? And so I said, okay, well, let me get a second job. Let me get a third job. Let me start coaching high school tennis. Let me take care of this club. Let me start my photography business. Let me live at home for longer. I was being very aggressive on both fronts, both the defense of saving money and the offense of investing money. And so I very vividly remember the conversation. I called my brother up. I was like 29 and 7 months. And I said, Chris, I think I'm going to get it. I'm going to have 100 grand invested by the age of 30. As long as, the market doesn't collapse, I should hit there with like 2 months left. And my brother pauses and there's this silence and I'm expecting this big congratulations. And my brother says, Brian, 100 grand invested? I'm like, yeah, 100 grand invested. As long as everything goes smoothly, I should get there. And he goes, the goal isn't 100 grand invested. The goal is a net worth of $100,000, which includes your house, your bank account, your car, your assets minus your liabilities. And in this moment of bittersweet epiphany, I realized, oh my God, I misunderstood what the goal was. I completely overshot the goal. And what an awesome, misunderstanding that was. I had $100,000 as a net worth a little bit younger, probably by the age of like 27. But I thought the goal was to have $100,000 invested in your retirement accounts by the age of 30. And so it was this moment of like mixed emotions. I was incredibly excited. I understood that this was to my benefit, but at the same time, I had a little bit of like, regret going, God, I didn't have to work that hard. I didn't have to make all those sacrifices. But I knew that overall that this was a great position to be in. Kevin O'Leary, how much money should you have by the age of 33? He says $100,000. I would agree, but I'd also say, listen, set your own goal. Get scared by that goal. Ask yourself, what life decisions can I make? What opportunities haven't I locked in yet that I can change to allow myself to achieve this level of financial security? Because I knew that essentially if I were to cross that finish line at the age of 30, that I could essentially coast the rest of the way, that the rest of the financial journey would be much easier and much smoother. So why is $100,000 by the age of 30 so important? Well, it comes down to the rule of 72. If you have a interest rate of about 7%, that your money will double every 10 years. So 30 to 40, 200,000. 40 to 50, 400,000. 50 to 60, 800,000. Okay, can you retire on $800,000 at a 4% withdrawal? $32,000 a year plus Social Security. Now, we're starting to have a little bit more comfort. 60 to 70, now you're $1.6 million if you're living longer. I mean, 1.6 million at a 3 or 4% withdrawal rate. A lot of people would be very happy, very excited to have $1.6 million at the age of 70. Me personally, if I have to set a goal for you, I would argue if you're under the age of 35, I would recommend that mentally your goal is between $2 million and $5 million in your retirement. So what you can do is you can reverse engineer this. You can start with the end in mind and figure out how much a $2 million retirement will cost you if you start saving at the age of 25. A $4 million, a $5 million retirement. In fact, since we're here, let's just take a look at it together. All you have to do is look at a simple retirement calculator. I think one of the easiest ones to use is the Dave Ramsey investment calculator. Let's assume you start saving at the age of 25 and you're going to retire at the age of 68. Let's say you have zero saved for retirement. At this point, I would say, the boat hasn't left the dock, but they're undoing the lines and starting to push off, okay? So you may want to hop on it. And let's say we have an 8% return. $300 will get you 1.3. $500 a month. Look at this. $500 a month, $2.2 million. At $500 a month, that can go into your Roth IRA tax-free. You would get every single penny of this. This isn't even including a 401k or a company match that may help you. Let's start off with Kevin O'Leary's 33 years old and $100,000 invested. And now let's start that $500 a month. All right, you're at 2.7. I said between $2 and $5 million, you are at that halfway point. So even if you did $500 into your Roth IRA, all of this would be tax-free, assuming that 100 grand is in your Roth. If we start adding in, let's say, a spouse, or if we add in, let's say, a 401k match, and maybe we're saving $800 a month, now you're at 3.5. You see how this works. Play with the numbers, set a goal, begin with the end in mind, reverse engineer it, and see how much money you would need to start saving today in order to achieve that goal. Kevin O'Leary, I like you, I agree with you, and you got a great haircut. All right, so till next time, everyone, take care of yourselves, use this information, share it with your friends and family, the people that you care about, so that they can use money as a tool and go out there and go live your best life.